Hey guys, I'm excited. Today we got some incredible guests, Mike and Dionne. I almost messed
You
that
did
up.
almost.
I almost got it. And they are from the Pittsburgh market, but they've grown in an absolute incredible company, over $1 billion in sales, five offices, and they've got a great story. And I think that's something we can all learn from. Is it always looks easy from the outside until you get into the sausage making of the inside, right? How'd you get there? What it took to kind of make it happen. So we won't spend a lot of time on it, but give us a little bit about your background. I mean, who got in real estate first? Let's start with that. Who was the first one in?
Yeah, so since I'm the oldest,
Ah,
got in I got in first. I've been a real estate agent for 20 years this year.
great.
And at the beginning, I had come from already an entrepreneurial background, so I knew that I was an entrepreneur, born and bred that way. And
Nice.
so whenever I saw the opportunity in real estate, I knew that if I put some of the strategies together that I had in my previous company, that I could do really well. So I got into real estate, stood out from the crowd, and it was really not as crowded as it is today, that's for sure, but it was
Yeah.
kind of cool. I disrupted the market here by being that person. And then whenever we bought Realty One Group and brought it to Pittsburgh, we disrupted the market again. So I love that part of it, that we were able to come into a market that's been the same for over 100 years. So it's been a long time. I had a very successful career. My average for the last 5 years of production was 78 transactions on my own
Wow.
with an admin only. So, nowadays we have teams that don't even do 78 transactions. And, so I look at that, and I have a friend who's in Florida market, and she has a $45 million team in Arizona. And I said, how many transactions did you do? She said 45. So I literally almost did double that and made a third of the money. So,
Yeah.
the average sale price of $1 million. So
Right.
anyways, I've seen a lot happen in real estate. It's been a very storied career. There's a lot of stuff that's happened, good, bad, ugly. And, we're in the midst of a big change in real estate that's
Right.
actually, I think, beneficial to more people than not. So
I agree. I agree.
kind of where I'm at.
Mike, how'd you followed? You were in the same boat. How'd you come into the market?
So I'm going on almost a decade in real estate. I was a chiropractor for a decade in private
Wow.
practice, and going back to early elementary school, my passion has always been real estate and health. I was going to be an architect or chiropractor. Went the chiropractic route, and then just got loved chiropractic, but just fighting insurance companies, just became too burdensome, and I
Yeah.
just realized that there's it was time to pursue another passion. So I transitioned into real estate becoming a realtor.
Mhm.
And for my first couple of years, and that's where I met Dionne at a Keller Williams brokerage. And then fast forward, we're going on to our seventh year in owning Realty One Group Gold Standard in the Pittsburgh market, as brokerage owners. So it was about a little over about almost 3 years as a solo agent, then as a brokerage owner and partners with Dionne. And it's been a heck of a ride. We're about 200 agents. We did over $2 billion in sales over the last, almost 5.5, 6 years.
Yeah.
And
Great.
been a great journey, and we're just excited to help agents achieve their goals and achieve all their accomplishments inside the brokerage.
So let's start small, and then we'll scale up all the way to the top. Okay. So Dionne, you got in business first. You had really incredible success as a solo agent. I mean, when you were like day one, ground zero, you're a successful entrepreneur. What did you do? What did you do to get started that first year in the business? What was your secret sauce?
So the first year was difficult. I think I closed in the first 6 months less than 400,000 in sales.
Wow.
And I realized, what is going on, right? There's so
Yeah.
much opportunity here. So what do I need to do? And I realized I have to do something every single day. I have to constantly be doing things where, a lot of agents didn't. They did not do stuff. And I mean, everything from looking at Craigslist, trying to pinpoint where people were selling houses at, going out, in networking was a big thing for me. I did a lot of networking, and I think that played a big role, especially in the last 5 years of production. So I've been out of production. Mike and I, when we joined Realty One Group and started the company, we stayed in production for a couple of years, but for the last almost 3 years, we've been mostly out of production, other than close family and friends that have used us because they don't want to use anyone else.
Sure.
So, it's been just the fact that I always did something, and I always called myself like a grinder. I'm out there grinding, doing whatever it takes. And I see it's hard. It wasn't easy. Let me tell you, I almost ruined my entire life from working that hard. And 78 transactions by yourself is a lot. So when contract to close is what I had help with, but everything else, the marketing, the ideas, that every letter that was mailed, everything was done by my hands. So it was a lot of work. But I was used to it because I've been that way my entire life. I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur at a young age. I started in another company and where we were actually doing the physical work. So I grew up, my friends had a farm, we were baling hay. So I've been part of it all. So I'm not afraid to work, that's for sure. And I think that set me apart a lot because I had a creative background, so I could create things that other agents couldn't. And then I also had this insane drive to get to the next level in that career.
So I want to get into exactly what you're doing. I know you're now an instructor for the Think and Grow Rich,
I am.
that group, which is
I
amazing.
love that.
But Mike, I'm going to come back to that. So Mike, what about yourself? You obviously became successful. Now you're a brokerage owner. What were you doing? You were a chiropractor before, completely different industry, not really a sales industry. What did you do to get in and get rolling?
Well, so truthfully, I always tell people chiropractic is a lot of sales because we're selling care plans, our treatment plans, protocols, and everything, and explaining and teaching people why they need it or the benefits of it. So there is a lot of sales on that side of it. But what I did was transitioning out of chiropractic. The nice thing, I had some savings and some reserves built up that I could use to apply to lead generation, right away. So I door knocked for sell by owners and expireds and had great success at that. But I also was lucky enough to get into Zillow, almost 10 years ago with my surrounding zip codes and become the #1 agent and keep that, while I was in production. So my first year in full production, I closed over 10 million, and with the majority from Zillow. So like looking at me and Dionne, that's why, I think we bring so much to the brokerage is we basically have two different styles of growing our business. Dionne with sphere of influence, the relationships. Well, I was the lead generator, convert them, CRMs, calling, and then moving on to the next one. I was just, it was just that constant hunt without knowing how to properly nurture, once you got the close, how to keep those relationships and garner referrals. And now working with Dionne, we bring both of those skill sets to the brokerage. But it was mostly, paid lead generation when I first got started.
I want to just talk about that here in a second. I'm going to circle back to Dionne for a second, but we're going to come back to this new lawsuit that just Inman's reporting on of several agents banding together and saying that Realtor.com leads are fake leads. And what the change is, 10 years ago, there was definitely a good solid ROI on online leads. Today, probably not so much, in my opinion, as a coach. I'm very curious to hear your experience because you're one of the #1 guys in the Pittsburgh market doing it for years. But Dionne, back to you on your Think and Grow Rich kind of approach to real estate. Kind of tell us how did that influence what you did and how you approach things?
To be honest with you, I had that book when I was 18. Then I went to a Zig Ziglar seminar in Pittsburgh. They used to do these seminars. Yeah, when they would travel around and have all of these really influential speakers. They had Terry Bradshaw, Zig Ziglar, and I can't even remember who else was in that group, but it was a really great company. So anyways, I went to that seminar and thought, oh,
Tommy Hopkins, I bet, was in that group.
I bet you're exactly right. Tom Hopkins was there for sure. So I started seeing the value of mindset and positivity when we're in a world 20 years later, right? That's so different. But if you don't study mindset of yourself first, I'm not sure how you get through life.
Yeah.
Like I'm at that point, even in my life at 56, if it wasn't for everything that I know and how to pick up the pieces, I don't know how I would do it. So it was that essential to me in any career. And now that I know more about it and I realize that, you become what you think about. So if we keep thinking negatively, it's going to happen. And it's hard. It is a hard thing to do. Every single day, I still have to fill my mind with things to help from all of the messages that are coming. Marketing, there's like 60, 80,000 messages a day coming at us. Yeah. There's the news and the fake news and the fake leads. And I just said that this morning. Fake internet leads are like fake leads. I just said that this morning. Yeah. And the funny thing is you even brought that up because I feel truly that they're just popping people in there. And like, for instance, I just got one this morning and I sent it over to one of our people and they said it's a fake number. Like, so if you need to close internet leads these days, just last night I looked it up, 100%, 1 to 2 transactions in 100. That's a lot.
I think that's a high number.
Yeah, that's high. So if you get the 1 transaction out of every 100, It's a lot of work. And I just today, I just popped it in our Facebook page. I did a quick analysis last night and it made so much sense. I think I should share it with you because when I looked at the time that it takes to do internet leads versus sphere of influence versus past clients, right? So I just posted this in our group today. So I'll tell you what the stats are. Okay, here it is. So internet leads, 7 to 15 hours to convert. Requires extensive nurturing, multiple touch points. Past clients, 1 to 5 hours. Established trust, fewer touch points needed. Sphere of influence, 2 to 6 hours. Known contacts, regular communication maintains relationships. So I look at myself or any of our agents and I say, which one do you choose? You could spend the money and spend 7 to 15 hours to convert that one lead where you could be converting like 4 past clients in that same time period.
100%. 100%.
You know, and so that for me is always what I actually, so I'm creative. I owned a graphic design agency for years. I went to art school, so very creative. But I also had the idea to track every transaction where it came from for my entire career. Until the last 2 or 3 years, I stopped because I wasn't really tracking that anymore. 72% for the last 6 years came from past client sphere of influence.
Wow. Wow.
It was almost 72, exact number, like 71.6 or 72.3. Wow. And year after year after year, that is a huge number.
Massive, massive. I think it's interesting when you talk to top agents like yourself and you say, where did your last listing come from? You know, and where was your last buyer? They always say, oh, it's my buddy, it's my friend. They never refer to them as a client or a notch on the belt. It's always like my friend, my buddy, my pal. And so I always tell people, you know, if you're not performing at the highest level, it's because you don't have enough friends.
Oh, I love that. I'm stealing that.
Friends are for friends. And the reason why, you got this database, right? And the reason why they're not referring to you is because they don't look at you as a friend. You're not treating them like a friend. As soon as you start treating them like a friend, bingo, your business changes. So, but Mike, let's talk about the online lead sitch. So you're a massive guy in the online lead world. What's your thoughts on it today? I'm just curious.
I'm in the same, thought as you guys are. When I first started in Zillow, my first few years, I was literally getting a 7 times return on investment from what I was spending in Zillow. And I was able to get into Zillow and be number one for like $1,000. But, as I increased my spend, the return on investment kept getting lower and lower. I was down to about $6,000 a month at the end, barely hitting 3% return, 3 times return on investment. Now I look on Zillow or I have the agency that promise them two times the return. I'm like, that's ridiculous. You're it's not worth it. Like I said, if I had hit 7 times my return, I thought something was wrong. I was complaining to Zillow, and I was looking back there. I was saying, hey, my fellow agents and colleagues are like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Complain to Zillow, complain to Realtor, and every time I seem to complain,
ooh, you get more leads, right?
It ticked up a little bit. Yeah, it always ticked up. So I complained all the time, no matter how good I was doing. But this day and age, it's a whole different ballgame. The cost per lead, the quality, the fake leads, whatever it may be, it's a different world. And definitely the sphere of influence, the networking, building those genuine relationships is going to pay dividends exponentially over throwing money at the internet.
Yeah, and I've seen so many of my friends have pivoted away from Zillow, now doing mailings or just other kinds of online lead gen where they're in control. And I think that's really smart. I'm sorry I cut you off there, Dionne.
No, it's okay, because I want to say something to that. So if I was spending $6,000 a month today, I could take 100 people and spend $60 a month on 100 people.
Yeah.
The effect that I could have on those 100 people, and if I could get 10% out of that group, oh my gosh, I'm crushing it. Right? So that's when I hear those numbers, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I did so much for so much less.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So, but also I closed in a lot of deals. So it was a lot of hard work and my average sell price was lower. So Mike was in an area where the average sell price was literally almost double what I was. So he could make as much money, but do half as many jobs, which is great. I would love that. And just like my friend in Arizona, an average sell price of $1 million, closing 45 transactions. I could do that today and still run this company. I still could do 45 transactions, So anyways.
So it's interesting what you said, Dionne, though. And I just saw a recent NAR's most recent poll. You said 72% for yourself was sphere related. 69% is the number now in the country for sphere related. So you're just right in the pocket, right? But I mean, because you guys have a couple hundred agents working for you or more. You have to coach to this. So when you're coaching your own agents, you say, okay, ideally you should get 70% of your business from your sphere ideal world, you're doing everything right, like Dionne has in her career, but you still got a gap. You still got 20 to 30% you got to fill. Where's the other 20 to 30% of your business coming from? What do you guys recommend to your own team?
One of our biggest things is just being present on social media, sharing, stories of what you're doing daily. People want to get to know you. Post a live, post a video, let people get to know your personality. And, I think a unique thing we allow our agents to do when they do it consistently, it works. And we actually created this policy when we first opened up the brokerage because when I was at Keller Williams, there was a top agent in the area, closing 30 million plus a year. And I went to her because she had a listing sitting on the market. And I asked her, hey, do you care if I could throw this on my Facebook and I'll boost it? Because back 10 years ago, you could really niche down and get that boost to a certain demographic, job, income. And I said,
Yeah.
I'll throw $100 and, throw this and try to, get a buyer because it should have sold. It was like a $500,000 listing. And her exact words were, that's my listing. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking you if I could throw it on my social media. She
Right.
goes, that's my job.
Yeah.
Don't you dare post my listing. I'm thinking, it's been sitting here for months. What would your seller think if you're turning down free exposure?
Yeah.
So it just blew my mind that she told me no. I really asked her out of courtesy and thought there'd be no hesitation. So we created that policy with our agents that any agent can market any of our brokerage listings on their social media. And when they do that consistently and post and engage the comments and share it and post it in the groups, they generate leads for free and build relationships up. And then also sharing their story, sharing their daily experiences, how they're helping their clients, who they are, what they bring to the table, their value they're bringing on the buy side, on the listing side is really what I think, enables them to kind of fill that gap of, their own sphere is by, letting people get to know them on, social media. It's huge.
I think that's amazing. And the idea with social media is it's just another touch point for your own sphere of influence and it's your part of your bigger audience, right? But it also gives you the ability to scale into a bigger audience. Dionne, how about you? What are some other thoughts on lead gen?
Yeah, obviously, I think, like Mike, social media is such a big part of our lives today. And a lot of agents still aren't using it the right way. LinkedIn, I think, is a huge opportunity. There's professionals. That's a professional space.
Yeah.
And I think that's an area. If I had to look back over the years, I did a lot of direct mail. Direct mail was big. And I don't think it's as big today as it was, but there's a lot of direct mail coming out. I don't think that people hold on to it as much, but there's some things that you can create that are evergreen. And that's something that I did a lot, where I would create some magnets that would stay on the fridge for 9-10 months or for the rest of their lives. I could still walk in someone's house 10 years later and there's something on their fridge that I sent to them. So just being creative, I can't really give you much more other than the sphere of influence. And that's what I focused on the whole time. We don't have the Craigslist anymore. It doesn't work like that. Going out on for sale by owner sites and finding them, you can do that. Mike's idea of door knocking, I think right now, any agent that did that would have success because no one is doing that anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
No one's knocking the door, but don't even just knock and give them an item of value, something that they can hold on to. Like as a graphic designer, we did a lot of promotional products, and I think that would be something cool. I would spend my money on cool things that people would want to keep just to keep you top of mind, right? I used to say this all the time: 7 times creates memory, 12 times equals mind dominance. So you have to be in front of them over and over again. So when their neighbor says, hey, I was thinking of selling my house, Dionne is the first person that they think of. So that's just some of the things that I say. I mean, I've put together so much stuff for our agents. There is more marketing tools and ideas than they could ever dream of. You just have to do something. And I'm going to go back to that beginning because that's what makes the difference. You have to do the work.
You got to do the work. We use a kind of philosophy in our office, which sounds like it aligns with what you guys do. We try to encourage our agents to be hyper local. Zillow is spending billions of dollars at the national scales, but by being hyper local, that's something you can compete with. You can compete in your own neighborhood. Zillow is not coming to your neighborhood, right? So we're really focused on neighborhood by neighborhood by neighborhood, and that seems to work for us. But you, Mike, when you think about social media, are you encouraging video? Are you guys doing a lot of video? What are you guys doing?
I tell them the video, text, video. I mean, if you're not on video, you're going to get passed up by the agents that are comfortable on video. And most people aren't comfortable when they first start, and that's normal. And it's it just takes practice. And then it's great seeing our agents who are super uncomfortable, and then a month later they're not even rewatching it; they're just shooting it and posting it because it's all about getting the content out there, and people want to see you. And nobody's perfect, So post those videos. Don't worry about if there's a blemish or your makeup's not, 100% perfect. Just, get in front of people. But like Dionne, you mentioned, is if I was going back in production today, I would be door knocking for sale by owners and expired. The thing just came out today that Pittsburgh market just shifted to a neutral market. So it's not a
Yeah.
seller's market, it's a neutral market. There's those sellers that are overpricing their houses that are expiring,
Yeah.
but they're for sale by owners and door knocking. Just get out there and just do it. And it
Yeah.
just takes, that was so transformative when I first got in business. There was one house I door knocked that literally turned into $1.8 million in production on the same
Wow.
street from one door knock,
Wow.
within a 3-month period of time,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just take the initiative, get out there. And I don't think there's an easier time, truthfully, either on social media or doing, the canvassing the neighborhoods, door knocking, introducing yourself. Agents, I feel, got lazy over through COVID, and I
Yeah.
think it's pretty much the easiest time to really outwork fellow agents, or a great
Yeah.
time to get into the industry with the work ethic that Dionne did when she got it, with I had, and just work and put the effort in. You will be successful, because there's somebody just fell back to the easy. Phone's going to ring. I'm going to write an offer. No
Right.
negotiation skills needed. That's changing big time.
Yeah. I think that agents have fallen into instant gratification and that kind of mindset of just give me a lead, give me a lead, give me a lead, instead of creating leads and finding leads and working working their databases. So let's talk about your scale. So at some point, did you guys each individually build teams, or did you decide just come together and let's open a brokerage? And we're agnostic here, so we serve all brokerages, all makes and models. So can't promote brokerages, obviously, but just in general, you guys decided at some point, hey, we're going to open a brokerage. And what was that? What was that flip of that switch?
Well, I was actually offered ownership at the Keller Williams office I was part of after my second year there, because actually some of the owners were actually chiropractic patients of mine. So I knew my business side of things and mindset there. And I flew to Texas, the franchise systems operation, went through the program, and just realized that we weren't really running the model up here as it should have been ran. And truthfully, until Dionne was recruited in to the office, we weren't growing with anybody. I was the second top producer in my second year, with no help really from the brokerage. Kind of did it all on my own, and just a stagnant brokerage. So that's when I started looking around other models, being entrepreneurial. I investigated every model you can imagine out there. Came across the Realty One, which we are now, and then just the relationship me and Dionne built at Keller Williams. Trusted her, really liked her. Everything about how she ran her business, and she actually was a previous owner of another brokerage of a Northwood office, so I knew she had that background too. And then whenever I just pursued it, and I just had to come back, I said, hey, you got to check this out. Did you ever think, what's your thoughts on it, and talked her into it? I don't know.
I said, no, no, I don't want to.
But being in ownership is different than being a brokerage owner, obviously, or being in production. I mean, is different than being a totally different kind of mindsets, and the whole thing's different. Yeah. So you get in, you open your doors, and then what?
So, I mean, we still ran our team together. We had a team together. Gotcha. So we started that about 2 years in, and we ran that for a couple of years, and we did good. I mean, we really did well but then we had some kickback from the agents that we were competing. That was a big thing that the recruiting, the other companies could use against us, right? Say, oh, they're out there working, they're competing against all of you. And we were good. Like we did, we could have did 25-30 million easily a year together. Yeah. So we were doing good. So,
So do you have physical locations now? Of course.
We have 5. We had definitely five
physical locations. When you're out there in the marketplace today, what is it that you think, not just to your company, but what do you think attracts an agent to make a move, to join a company aside from commissions? What do you think drives people to make moves?
I think one mistake we made looking back is focusing on the money too much. Yeah. Money is a driver, but for a lot of agents it's not the primary driver. So I think the most important thing is for agents is the culture and the support that the brokerage offers. What are they who are they going to turn to when they need help? Yeah. And I just think you can't. The support is huge. I mean, the brokerage, and I think, a lot of times we look at it wrong is, without agents, there's no brokerage. It's not the other way around. But, there's
Right.
aren't brokerages because agents.
Right.
And when a brokerage realizes that the agent is, should be agent centric, we've got to focus on supporting them, their needs. I think this changes the culture and letting the agents know that you're there for them. So I think that's probably usually the top two. Then you got the tools or technology, then commission kind of equal in there is kind of
Sure.
what I,
I
piece
love that. I think culture is so important. Do you agree, Dionne? Do you have something to add
Oh,
to that?
I absolutely agree. And I do realize it's very difficult to make a move, right? There's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And so to have someone want to leave, sometimes people think because they leave, their business will get better.
Yeah.
Still the same person, right?
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same person doing the business. So
Mhm.
you have to find something in yourself that you have to change, because when you make that move, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do better.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So you
Yeah.
have to work on you first.
Yeah.
And that's what all the self-development for me has helped with. And like Mike knows, I mean, I've had some tough days, right, Mike? I mean, I've been through a lot since he's known me, but in my entire life, there's a lot. It's a big roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
But I think that's at the end of the day, it's all about your mindset. You come into a new company, you get excited about it again. You're excited about real estate. You want to tell everybody, shout it to the streets. And then 2 months later, you don't say a word.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So I think for me in recruiting people, it's all about per agent productivity. We're trying to help these people sell more real estate. That's the end of the day, right? And when they can sell more real estate, that's when they're going to join you, in my opinion. And if we can show them that model, that's often what's going to fire them up and get them excited about coming to you. But one thing that also is important, which a lot of people ignore, you got recruiting, which is, these people this is for a brokerage owner, this is our customer base. So we have to recruit new customers into our business. But a lot of business owners forget that we also have to retain our current customers.
It's a
It's
big
just
deal.
like our spheres of influence, right? So let's talk
Right.
about retention. And Mike, you mentioned culture. Is that like your number one retention tool? Is that how you keep people there and excited? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's, with just the accessibility to Dionne and myself and our broker of records, a real estate attorney. So her knowledge base and her support,
Yeah.
our staff that we have in place, all contributes to the culture of letting agents know that, we're there to help them succeed. We want to brand them. We want, whatever, you feel, and that's what we give the power for our agents to do, is to run their own business the way they want to run their business.
Yeah.
And when you empower them to do that and encourage them, I think that does create an environment where everybody wants to see everybody succeed. And that's what I think was something I'm so proud about what we created over the last 6 years. Is it's not a brokerage where you have like little, cliques or little groups where you ask anybody in the office and they will open up their playbook and share with a brand new agent or seasoned agent. This is what I do. This is what I market. Here, take my, mailers, copy this. I've never seen agents collaborate and help each other like they truly do, and doing open houses for each other, passing leads on in between the brokerage. It's just a really great culture. And I think is our main, retention, driver is that, freedom and ability and support that they have inside the walls of our 5 offices.
I love it. I love it. And Dionne, when you talk about your support, you guys are now, I know you're doing some of your own sphere stuff, but you guys are both basically in the office helping agents every day, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's, really that's why we did this. So we could help other agents so they could make more money and they could sell more houses, or maybe even less, because maybe you make enough now so you can sell, instead of selling 20, you could sell 15 and have more of a life. Right.
Right.
So give them
Right.
that balance that they need in their life. And I think sometimes that happens whenever an agent joins from a company that may be taking more money, they get
Yeah.
to a company that's giving back more and they're like, oh, I love this. I
Yeah.
only have to sell this many now to make the
Right.
same amount of money, and I can go on vacation for a month. Like
Yeah.
I can do what I want to do. So I think there's a balance, and like what you said about wanting them to sell more, like that's of course what we want, but that's not always what they want.
That's true. That's very true. I love it. They might want an easier life, like you're saying.
Better
More
life.
more time back. You guys have 5 offices. So how do you guys have a schedule? Like one of you's going to one office? How's that work exactly?
Well, truthfully, that's kind of what we've actually been working through, Jim, is moving forward here, putting a new growth plan together, because we've been at that 200 agent mark for a while and just, having trouble busting through that 200 agent ceiling.
Gotcha.
And we have a really amazing agent. He's been in the industry over 30 years, and he's helped grow other brokerages and was a brokerage coach and massive brokerages like 400 or 500 agents. And, he gave us a really great compliment the other day. We had a social, and he's like, you know what? I interviewed all brokerages and checked out everything. And after, much investigation, I choose to join, your guys' office. And after being here, you guys really have the closest to perfect brokerage I've ever been a part of, but there's still things we can work on.
Right.
And that is one of them, is having more of a presence at all 5 offices.
Gotcha.
We have agents that work out of all the offices and
Sure.
everything. We don't have an admin, front desk at every office.
Gotcha.
5 to 7 days a week. So that's our future is invested, is looking into like a sales manager role, to have somebody along with us, just bring more life and get people back into the offices and create better just environments inside.
I think, being able to be self-critical as a brokerage owner is sometimes hard because a lot of us have big egos. So having that self ability to say, hey, we got to find something that we need to work on, that's really smart and wise.
Oh yeah, I think we definitely recognize, what we're doing, and helping them grow is important. But
Yeah.
I think when we purchased this franchise, that was the model. You'd have
Right.
empty offices, people would just have a place to go. So we still had a physical location.
Sure.
So we fed into it. This is what they said, this was the law. And it really doesn't work as well as you think. You're better off to have 3 spaces that were filled with people versus 5 or 6 that are empty. Yeah. So I mean, financially, it's a big deal. But the second most important, the actual most important thing is the fact is that agents need to be around people. Post-COVID, now more than ever in our history of our life, do people need that connection? And that's one place that we're working on, because we need to. We realize that it's really affecting us in growth.
Yeah,
so,
I love it.
So the model's different. We give back most of the money to the agents. So now we have to sit back and look at this and say, how do we make this work so that we can still give them everything that they need, like a traditional brokerage, but also have someone in place that's that cheerleader for them.
Yeah.
And I think
adaptation, right? We have to adapt.
And I think it's a great advice for all brokerage owners out there that are, current brokerage owners or thinking about pulling the trigger on a brokerage, is go deeper, not wider. Same thing with teams. I see so many teams just keep adding team members instead
100%.
of just, supporting them, each, current members with more leads and more opportunities and more business. So that's, I think, as an agent, team leader, or brokerage owner, is, we would have went deeper instead of, two more offices wide probably. And we just had a little more impact. But now recognizing it, that we need to, change that, like you said, is like I said, we do have big egos, and we've always act like we're right, but we know what needs tightened up, and again, now it's time to execute, to get to that next level of success.
Absolutely. Well, guys, absolute pleasure talking to both of you. Yeah, absolute superstars in the Pittsburgh market. I'm sure that if any agents want to reach out to you and have a conversation, it's going to be easy to find you. You know where you're at, Realty One,
Very easy.
The Pittsburgh
Just
market.
type in our names. Comes up everywhere.
So you'll show up. So again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and you dropped a lot of knowledge on our audiences here. Thank you so much.